Welcome to CodeLearnX. Today in this particular video, we are trying to understand the basics of database, data lakes, data warehouses and data marts. So let's dive into the video. So here I have tried to correlate all those terms with each other. Here you can see that we have different data sources, decentralized data sources, and from these decentralized data sources, we are creating a centralized data lake. And from this centralized data lake, we are creating a purpose-driven centralized data warehouse. And from this centralized data warehouse, we are creating different decentralized data marts. So for your reference, I will take an example so that you guys can understand it very clearly. So suppose you are a big data company and you are operational in more than 50 countries across the globe. So basically what you do is you collect data from the people via different medium. Let's say mobile application, web application, and you perform some analysis on that collected data to create some reports or do some predictions. So basically here you are doing two things. You are collecting data from the people, and secondly you are performing analysis on that collected data. So here you will require two systems, that is OLTP systems for the collection of the data and OLAP system for the analysis of the data. So data sources are we can say that operational databases are the OLTP systems, and these data lakes, data warehouse and data marts are the OLAP system. So before going further in the video, firstly I want to make sure that you guys understand the difference between OLTP and OLAP. So I think you all guys know that the OLTP stands for online transactional processing and OLAP stands for online analytical processing. As I have said that you are a big data company, more than 50 countries. So you will be requiring different operational databases to store the data. Suppose you are storing data for the country, for the people living in the country like USA. So you will have a different database and you will be storing data related to the person. So in India, you will be having a different database, different operational database where you will be storing the data related to the people, so that in future you can perform analysis on that. So for the analysis purpose, you do not use that operational database because it will cause server error or it will cause some failure to your operational system, because operational databases are for the business operation. So it smoothens our business operations and it provides a better user experience. So for that purpose we use operational database that comes under the OLTP systems. For the OLAP, the data warehouses, data marts and data lakes come under this, where we perform some analysis and do some reportings and predictions. So suppose you are clear with the OLTP and OLAP. So for the OLTP system, I have said that operational databases are the part of the OLTP systems, and another feature of the OLTP system is decentralized, because you are operational in different countries. So there you will need a separate database to store the people, or either you can also combine 2 or 3 nations to data in one operational system. That depends on the resources available to your organization or how much security you want to give to your people or your users. So that is the case. So another thing, operational databases are normalized. We want to reduce the redundancy in the data. So operational databases are normalized because the schema is designed in such a way that we try to reduce the latency. We want to provide a best user experience to the data. So when we submit the data to surveys, the data should be inserted very quickly, and that will provide a good user experience. Another thing about the operational database, it stores the current data, and operational databases are frequently updated. So when we are done with the operational database, when we have done with the collection of data in our operational database, we need a place where we can store all this data, because operational database, as I said many times, are decentralized one. So suppose in our organization more than 100 or 200 or 500 data analysts are working, so they need a central repository where they can access the data, where they can get data, the problem which they are solving so that related get at one place. So big organizations make a data lake. So just they collect the data from the operational database and they load into at one place a central repository that is used in size. So data lakes contain unstructured data, semi-structured data, structured data, or some log files or flat files. Suppose your organization is also going door to door and collecting data by meeting person to person in Excel files. So that data that is stored in the Excel file is an example of flat files. So data lakes contains all the data related to your organization at one central place, so that your analyst or your person from the company can go to a central place at one location and they can get data related to any problem they are trying to solve. So from when we are done with the data lake, we can create data warehouse or data marts. When we think, as I have said, we follow the philosophy of first load then think in data lake. So we are done with the loading of the data, then comes the thinking part. When we think, we define a purpose, based on that purpose either we create data mart or data warehouse. So that is okay. So for the creation of the data warehouse, here is the philosophy of first think then load, because you have data sources, you have data in your data lake, and now you have turned to create the data warehouse. So firstly you have think what purpose you are creating a data warehouse, what are the problem you are trying to solve and for which you want to create a data warehouse. So first you think, then load the data either from the data source or from the data warehouse. So data lake, sorry. So here I have shown a picture where you can see that we can create data warehouse either from the data sources or from the data lake. So one thing I would like to mention here is that data lake stores the data in natural process, raw format. There is no filtering, no processing is done. As you have collected data in flat files, in XML files, in relational databases, the data as it is, that is dumped into the data lake, and there is no filtering, no processing done. So in data lake, data resides in its natural form. When we define our purpose, we just filter, we create a schema on which purpose, what data we are trying to look, and what are the data will solve our purpose. Only those data are extracted from data lake and put into the data warehouse. So basically data warehouse is nothing but a relational database. So we create a schema and we store the data which will be required for solving a problem. If I take an example from the we can say that if you want to calculate the life expectancy or in data warehouse, we will be storing only that data that will be responsible for defining life expectancy and the per capita income of that nation. So in that way we can store the data in the data warehouse. So when we are done with the data warehouse, then it comes to the data marts. So what is data marts? Data marts is nothing but the small piece of data warehouse, or we can say that the data marts are very small in size compared to the data warehouse, and it solves the very specific subject specific problem. So if we say we previously in data warehouse, what we were doing, we were trying to solve the per capita income or life expectancy of the whole nation. So for that purpose the whole nation data will be needed. So if some person at the time is requiring to only interested in the life expectancy of some state or the per capita income of a state like Delhi, if we take example of India, like Delhi is the state, or MP is the state, Maharashtra is the state, or Gujarat is the state, or Bihar is the state. So the person is only interested in the knowing the life expectancy and per capita income of these states. So they will need only less amount of data. So for that purpose we create small data marts, so that the data analyst of our company will be given access to that specific data only. In that way we can also secure our data for giving access to the large number of people. Only the person who is responsible to work on a per capita income analysis or life expectancy analysis of a particular state, that only person will be given access to that data. So here I have shown that different ways you can create data marts. You can create data marts from data sources or from data lakes or from data warehouse. So if you are a very small organization and you don't own data lake or data warehouse, so you can create data marts from data sources itself. There's no big deal. There's not a requirement that every organization should have data lake or data warehouse. It depends on the resources, on the requirements, and what are the cost you are trying to, or what are the time spent you are trying to solve that problem. So that is depends on different sources, and different methods are followed in creation of all those things, and different strategic decisions are involved in creating data lakes and data warehouse. So there's no big deal. You can create your data mart from data sources itself. So here I have shown you two approaches of creating data marts. First one is top-down approach and another is bottom-up approach. So what we do in top-down approach is, first we create our data warehouse, then from that data warehouse we just smallen our problem statement and we create data marts, which is very specific to a particular subject. And in bottom-up approach, what we do is, first we create a data mart from different sources, like we can create data marts from our data sources, or we can create data marts from data lake, and then we combine these data marts to create a data warehouse. So you might be thinking that which is best for your organization. Either you should create a data lake or your data warehouse or data marts. So well, I would say that it depends on your need of the organization. Your need of the organization and what are the problem you are trying to solve. What is the time frame involved in that situation? In what time you are trying to achieve that problem, or in what time you are trying to solve that problem. So these are the some cases on which it will depend that what you should create and what a problem you are trying to solve. So I hope I have made sure that you have understood the basics of databases, data lakes, data warehouses and data marts. So if you like the content, please make sure you like the video and please subscribe to the channel for the future updates. Thank you.